You know that feeling when you're just staring at your screen, totally battling procrastination, completely overwhelmed by your to-do list? And you kind of wonder, are ultra-successful people just built differently? Like, do they have some secret genetic advantage that lets them focus flawlessly? Or is it actually possible for any of us to hack our minds to get that exact same level of peak performance?
Well, let's get right into it. Welcome to this explainer. Think of this as basically the ultimate user's manual for your brain. We so often fall into this trap of thinking our reality is permanently fixed by our genetics or our past trauma. But as top neurologists are quick to point out, genes are really just the loaded gun. It's our environment and our daily habits that actually pull the trigger. So today, let's look at exactly how we can consciously rewire that machinery. Here's a quick look at our roadmap today. We'll decode your brain's secret waves, build out the mover's morning routine, figure out who really controls your mind, discover your sleep chronotype, rewire through sensory challenges, and finally, master your deepest emotions.
All right, section 1, your brain's secret waves.
So our brains operate on 4 primary waves. When you're knocked out in deep sleep, you're in delta. When you're highly alert, talking and solving problems, you're in beta. But the real magic? That happens in those middle states. You've got theta, which governs your creativity and vision, and alpha, which is that amazing state of calm, relaxed focus. But here's the thing. You can't just expect to be calm and creative out of nowhere. You have to actively train and build your alpha and theta states, literally exactly like you'd build a bicep at the gym. Now, waking up wrong means jumping straight from deep sleep delta, jolted awake by a blaring alarm, and instantly checking stressful notifications on your phone. It's literally like shifting a car from neutral straight into 5th gear. I mean, you're going to destroy the engine. Waking up right, though, that's about hacking those theta and alpha states. It means spending your first 5 minutes with your eyes closed, harnessing that highly suggestible theta state to visualize your day. It's a technique called pillow talk, where you calmly prime your brain's clock before the crazy rush of the day even begins.
Which brings us to section 2, the MOSer's morning routine.
Okay, so this is the ultimate peak performer toolkit, the mover's routine. It looks like a lot, I know, but you literally only need to spend 5 minutes on each step. You've got meditation to build that alpha state, oxygenation through deep breath work, visualization, exercise for cross-lateral neural growth, reading something positive, and scribing, basically journaling, to release negative thoughts. And on visualization specifically, this is wild. Studies from Harvard actually show that mentally rehearsing a physical action grows the exact same neural connections as physically practicing it. Just imagining your success physically changes the wiring in your brain. But listen, here's a massive rule you have to pair with this routine. No caffeine for the first hour. Instead, get some early morning sunlight. That natural light hits your eyes and activates this tiny little part of your brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which beautifully sets your natural circadian rhythm. Drinking coffee the second you wake up, that just injects unwanted stressful beta waves right when your brain desperately needs calm.
Let's move to section 3. Who controls your mind? When things go totally sideways in your day, ask yourself, who's actually driving the car up there? Most of the time, the villain is at the wheel. That's your limbic system, specifically the amygdala. It's our primitive reptilian survival brain, constantly scanning for threats and triggering fight, flight, fear, and freeze. And sadly, this system controls most people about 80% of the time, leaving them stuck in these awful loops of past trauma and anxiety. But the hero of our story? That's the prefrontal cortex. It makes up a massive 40% of the human brain, and it's your center for logic, control, and choice. True success comes from strengthening this hero so you can turn panicked reactions into calm, calculated responses.
To really grasp how much work our brain is doing, get a load of this number. According to a huge study involving over 22,000 people, the average person has between 50,000 to 60,000 thoughts in a single day. I mean, that sounds like an absolutely exhausting amount of chaos to manage, right? But here's the comforting truth. When researchers analyzed those 60,000 thoughts, they found that 99% of them just loop around 3 basic pillars: health, wealth, and profession, and relationships. Almost nobody's out there constantly pondering grand philosophical concepts. We just endlessly loop over these 3 categories. This is great news, because it proves that fixing your focus and stopping overthinking isn't actually that complicated. You just need to optimize your habits in these 3 specific areas.
Section 4. Discover your sleep chronotype.
Based on the work of sleep doctors like Dr. Brius, humans generally fall into 4 chronotypes. You've got lions who wake up super early and peak from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. bears who hit their stride mid-morning to early afternoon. Wolves don't really get going until late afternoon or the evening. And dolphins? They just have random, irregular bursts of energy. Highly successful people audit their days and align their hardest, most demanding tasks with their peak energy times. They don't fight their natural wiring at all. They completely leverage it.
All right, section 5, rewire through sensory challenges.
The secret sauce here is called neurobics. We all love our routines. They're super comfortable, but pure monotony actually kills your brain's potential. If you do the exact same things, drive the exact same routes, and consume the exact same media every single day, your brain just goes on autopilot. Neurobics are intentional multisensory challenges designed to shock your brain out of its comfort zone and force brand new neural pathways to grow. So, what does this actually look like in practice? Well, it can be as simple as brushing your teeth with your non-dominant hand, or taking a completely new route to the grocery store so you're forced to process new sights and smells. Or, for a real challenge, try mirror writing, literally writing completely backward with both hands so it only reads normally in a mirror. Army officers posted in the freezing isolation of Siachen use this, and Leonardo da Vinci famously wrote this way. It forces your brain to stay incredibly sharp and adaptable.
Finally, section 6, master your deepest emotions.
13 seconds. That is exactly how long it takes for your amygdala to totally hijack your brain, shutting down all logic and throwing you into a state of explosive, uncontrollable anger or panic. If you can survive those 13 seconds, you win the whole battle. So how do we stop that hijack? The second you recognize the trigger, you do a biological hack. It's called a cyclic sigh, a very deep inhale which directly triggers your vagus nerve. Then slowly count backward from 100, 99, 98 as you exhale. The simple 3-second routine instantly activates your parasympathetic nervous system, killing that 13-second hijack dead in its tracks and handing the wheel right back to your prefrontal cortex. Now, let's zoom out to a way longer emotional challenge: breakups. Science shows us that men and women actually process heartbreak on entirely different timelines, and it's all due to evolutionary biology. Women's brains release bonding chemicals like oxytocin and serotonin very early on, creating deep attachment. Because of that, they process the intense grief immediately when a relationship ends. Men's brains, on the other hand, primarily release testosterone early on, which fundamentally delays emotional processing. So it's completely normal for men to suddenly feel the crushing pain of a breakup 6 to 12 months after the fact. It's purely subconscious chemistry at work. But whether it's a breakup, a business flop, or just a heavy mental funk, your toolkit to climb out is the simple ABC method. A is awareness. Recognize that you're trapped in a limbic loop of past rumination. B is breathing. Use breathwork as the physical bridge to slow down that panicked mind. And C is commitment. Commit to your neurohabits, your movers routine, your neurobics. If you strictly follow the physical routines, your brain will literally automatically fix its chemistry over time. And that really brings us to the absolute biggest takeaway of this entire explainer. Because of neuroplasticity, you are never, ever permanently stuck in your trauma, your heartbreak, or your laziness. When you take the time to build your alpha waves and strengthen your prefrontal cortex, you aren't just changing some gray matter in your head. You don't just rewire your brain, you literally rewire your reality. You change how you perceive every single failure and every single opportunity that comes your way. So it leaves us with one big, provocative question. What single tiny habit are you going to change tomorrow morning to start taking ownership of your prefrontal cortex? Are you going to stop checking your phone the absolute second you wake up? Are you going to try brushing your teeth with your left hand? Pick just one thing. Take back control from your amygdala and start rewiring your reality. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.